Top Guns in association with Audi and Tumbe Group. Hello and welcome. Today's Top Gun is a corporate honcho who landed his first job by sheer chance. He's a banker by profession and choice and was born with an entrepreneurial mindset. He's a people's man and has led many teams to great heights of success in the past. He's now the head of a very familiar brand. Friends, let's meet Rajeev Kakar, the head of Dunia Finance, who believes that behind every crisis lies an opportunity. It's all about empowering people and enriching lives. Let's face it, we may be great at our professions, lead happy family lives, be fantastic parents, but one area where most people fail and fail miserably is management of money. People who manage money are very special, and one such person is on our show today, Rajeev Kakar. And I'm sitting with Rajeev Kakar, the man behind Dunia Finance. Rajeev, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anish. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Let's start with your growing up years. Tell us where you grew up, where were you born, where were you raised?
I'm a Delhi boy. I grew up in Delhi. I was born in Delhi. It was a great time growing up in the city because I grew up in a very nice neighborhood, great friends, great place, and went to an Irish missionary school, if you know what that means, with all its strictness, an all-boys school with the neighboring building housing a similar convent girls' school. So we were always deprived of being across the fence. I did my entire schooling right up to grade 11 there. And then I went into IIT, did 5 years of engineering, and I had a desire to go into the US and do my master's and perhaps a PhD in engineering. And as luck would have it, I also did get into the IIMs at the same time.
Okay.
I'd done very well. I did very well in both colleges, so it was easy for me to walk into a job. But I somehow wanted to go back and start my own stuff. And that's what I was going to do. I thought I was well armed. I had everything that I wanted to do. I had this crazy entrepreneurial streak in me. And I just happened to walk in with one of my friends who had to collect his appointment letter from the bank. And as I walked in with him, the HR manager looked at me and said, "Hey, where do you work?" So I said, "I don't have a job. I don't intend to have a job. I just graduated with him and I want to do something on my own." So he found that a bit funny and said, "Hey, why don't you come and work with us?" This was American Express. And I had no desire to do that. He gave me a letter on the spot. So I just decided to take it, you know. And this was mid-80s, it made sense, with a nice American name, and I'd just get to fly around. So I told my parents, I said, "Hey, why don't I do this for a couple of years, travel around the world, and then I get back into business." Within a few months, I decided to change. Citibank was setting up its business in India.
So you were in Amex for how many years before?
Oh, I was there for just about 10 months.
Okay.
And Citi approached me in those days, and they were looking at setting up their consumer banking operations in India. And they asked me to go to Calcutta. I thought it was the end of the world. And I had perhaps the 3 best years of my life. Wow. I learned a lot of stuff. Those were my formative years in banking. We set up stuff. Calcutta's a great city. It's a rocking city. So that was great. And during my last year in Calcutta, we got married. And Nidhi joined me, and then we moved to Delhi. And then from there, in Delhi, we were based for another 3 years. I did something which was completely different with Citibank. It was also another defining moment for us because it was the place where we had our first daughter.
Oh,
so I think this was around the 2nd year of our stint in Delhi where we became parents. And then just as we were getting settled, and I think we were again enjoying ourselves in the place, and typically I've had assignments where I had to do a lot in the bank to change things. We were asked to move to Bombay.
No.
And that's what I did. We went to Bombay, and life suddenly moved from a big house to a smaller apartment, but a great building. We lived in a sea-facing apartment. Again, after about 2 years, or slightly less than 2 years, we were asked to move to Chennai.
Oh.
So there were we again, ready to pack And
I want to ask you a question. How does Nidhi manage all this? When you 3 years, you have to move every time.
I think Nidhi had a pivotal role to play on it because it was I think she took a brunt of it in terms of the physical move, in terms of managing the transition. But made her into a bit of a pro when it came to moving. And we went into Chennai. And I have to say, it was again one of the most fascinating experiences we had. By then, we were about to become parents the second time round.
Oh.
We were told that we were transferred yet again, and this time back to Delhi.
Back to Delhi?
Back to Delhi. And again, a totally different business. I was asked to head up a business, so that was my first opportunity to independently be a head of a profit center, to head a national business. So Citigroup and Maruti set up a joint venture. I was the founding CEO.
Excellent.
And managing director, and we set up this company in record time. And I got a chance to deal with a government company, a Japanese company, different counterparties, national distribution, and I ran this business. That was a business that I ran for a long time, for about 4.5 years. And I was having a rollicking good time, enjoying myself till one day, again, I get a sudden call from the bank, and I'm told, hey, how about going down to Egypt?
Oh my God.
And
another country altogether, right?
Another country altogether. And we went there, and there was just nothing there. And again, I had a job to start up the banking operations there.
And what year was this in Egypt?
2000.
Okay.
But I had a very exciting experience in that place because professionally it turned out to be one of my best assignments, where I was able to make a mark, get recognized in the rest of the Citigroup world. And I happened to be in Prague. We were having a regional global conference there with all the seniors were there. And I worked for a Belgian boss who, till date, remains my mentor. I suddenly get pulled at the shoulder, and I walk across, and I said, Jean-Paul, what happened? So he said, Rajeev, I've got something exciting for you. And I said, now what are you talking about? Yeah. So he says, well, off to Istanbul. One of the toughest assignments that I had, because I couldn't have been there at a tougher time. As soon as I landed in the country, the Turkish lira just moved 50% weaker. Oh. There was a dispute between the governments and the prime minister. And
big economic crisis in Turkey.
So the economic crisis, which is common, was just happening. There was a currency crisis, there was the Iraq war, which actually required us to leave the country. And I chose not to. You can't go through something, enjoy the benefits, but not be there when things are not so good. I also believe that every time there's a disaster or there's a crisis, there's new opportunity that comes up. After the war ended, I was able to insist that the business continued as normal. And we turned around the business for the first time. Turkey made money under my time, in record time. It did extremely well. The franchise became very well respected and in extremely turbulent times. And we were recognized around the bank for it. And then I was hosting this global conference where we had the global leadership in. I still remember the date. It was from the 18th of November to 20th of November in 2003. And the conference was to end in the afternoon of the 20th, and just at about 11 o'clock, my security had called me out and said that the HSBC building had been blown up. And then the UK consulate had another bomb, and the whole city was in chaos. We were again asked to evacuate. I decided not to. I remember that night we evacuated 100 people out because there was a bit of a concern in the Middle East to have people who were Europeans and Americans, and that too in an American bank. So there was a bit of a concern. And strange, in that same conference, I was again told, within 17 months of my living in Turkey, that maybe I needed to move again, take over the whole region, which included Turkey and Egypt, and take over the entire Middle East, including Pakistan. And then at that stage, I was told again for the 10th time that I should look at moving again. And I was told, Rajeev, it's time to move to Dubai.
Looking back, I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, because I think it's been such an enriching experience, having lived in different places. Though it's been challenging because the places were different, like almost every 2 years, but then you learn a lot because you interact with different people, with new people, make new friends, have new experiences, and I've done a lot of interesting things in the various places that I've lived in.
When we set up Dunia, we realized that we had made some very important promises to people, and just as we were about to launch, the financial crisis started off. I think there are very many entrepreneurs, very many capable people, in the millions and millions of people who sometimes don't realize their own worth because they don't get an opportunity.
So Rajeev, you came to Dubai, and then what happened? Where did you work? Where did you start off here?
Well, when I came with a bank to Dubai, as I was telling you before, we came in here more for a logistical reason. It just made sense for the countries that I was managing to be based out of here. Little did I know that there was something very material happening in this part of the world, and we figured that out much later when we came here. And there was so much happening in terms of people migrating here, people working hard. There was a collection of talent from all over coming into this place. And we saw within the bank an astronomical growth rate in business. Dubai also has, or UAE has a very interesting statistic to it. It's a small population when you look at it externally. But it tends to have a huge distribution of people who are highly productive. So almost everyone is target market for business. Almost everyone is a potential customer. So in some ways, it's a great opportunity. It seems small, but it isn't as small as people think it is.
You were in Egypt, for example, India, now in Dubai. Did you always want to be, was it a choice when you came to emerging markets? Did it happen by chance? How did it work with you?
I'll be honest, I'd like to give myself the credit today that it was really by choice. To be honest, in the 80s when I started, it was everyone's dream to, when you work for a company like the one I was working for, to get to the headquarters, which were really in the US. And it was pure coincidence that every market I got into was an emerging market. And by the time I reached 2005 in the UAE, I was scheduled to move on to my next assignment within another 22 months, which this time in London. And I realized I didn't want to do that because the world was going to change. The world was changing. It was happening. It was still, those were still the boom times. The financial crisis hadn't hit us.
So you decided not to go to London. So what did you do after that?
One of the opportunities that really excited me, though it was very scary, I have to admit, it was an opportunity to join the group in Singapore, which was the Fullerton Group out of Temasek, to set up financial services enterprise. And I was one of the initial 4 or 5 people who were approached to come out and look at being a part of the earlier group, the initial group. We opened up offices in 300 cities, made 800 branches in 2 years, and we set up
in
largest,
2 years?
Yeah, we did this in about 2 years, and we're now 5 years in the operation. And the one major challenge we realized that would make us successful was not going to be products, wasn't going to be capital. It was really going to be our ability to get talent of a particular kind that had a track record of doing well, and giving people meaningful jobs, empowering them, making them in control of their destiny. And when we set up Dunia, we realized that we had made some very important promises to people, and just as we were about to launch, the financial crisis started off. And here were very committed people. So launching with the same set of people, making sure that we would not go back on our principles.
That's what I'll ask you next, because when the financial crisis happened, how did you actually cope? You still stuck to your values?
We stuck to
what you said?
Absolutely, because if we had tripped there, I think we would not have been where we are today. It's easy to be a manager in good times. I think swimming against the tide is where your strength is really seen. Sticking around, being collaborative is important. Putting the company and the group ahead of yourself is important. And finally, being incredibly, brutally honest with your employees is important.
Rajeev sees opportunity in every crisis, and more importantly, is able to make use of it to his advantage.
I was just concerned that things are working fine, we're doing a good job. Yeah, we've got to grow our business together. Sure. Yeah, keep it up. Okay.
At the first, you think about it. I mean, why should a financial company start up in the financial crisis? But the thing is, we trusted in the CEO, and it was a challenge. And he promised that he'll take care of each person who is on board. So he did, and he really kept his word.
For instances where most people will just, see as obstacle and give up. He just sees opportunity, and he surprises us all the time.
He empowers his people as much as he can, and gives them wonderful opportunities to grow within the organisation and for personal development. So that's just one of the key qualities about Rajeev that make him such a great boss.
Rajeev, when I came to your office earlier, I saw you have so many awards you've won. The one that I remember is CEO of the Year in 2009. There are so many. But from all the awards that you've won, which one are you the most proud of?
The one special recognition that I feel particularly excited about was when we woke up one early morning and This was in Gulf News, and we were recognized as one of the top service providers in the A category. They just created an A category list, and we qualified with some of the very leading and established brands, and we're ranking ahead of it. But nothing like getting a soft recognition on doing something for the customer. We have an internal slogan. We don't talk about it. We believe we want to be the best place to work in and the only place to bank in. Now, it's a little bit of creative license because we believe people must have choices. So we don't retain them because they have no choice. We retain them because they want to be with us.
What advice would you give to a new entrepreneur who's just starting out now, a new business?
I think it's very important to be humble. And humility is a virtue that is not very common. Try not to get hubris in the way. Try to be very basic in what you do. Try to focus on your core competence. And if you are building technology, make sure you do the best. In the long run, it is going to pay back for you. If you get in a person, get in the best. And best is not always most expensive, but someone who's not good can be hugely expensive. The last thing, and I think this to me is my religion, literally, in the corporate world, your reputation and honesty.
I believe you're a very big supporter of education initiatives too. What exactly you do to support that cause?
You know, that's something of a personal passion. When I look at I've now worked for about 25 years, and I think it's high time you start thinking about giving back to society. And some of our deep reach people who are high on performance and very, very high on potential, we started looking at some colleges where we would send them in for their advanced studies. So I've done a combination of things in colleges in Turkey, colleges in Egypt, colleges in India, my own colleges that I come from, here in the UAE, in Pakistan, Singapore. And I was just lucky. I just like addressing people. And if we have to leave a world which is going to be richer than the one that we were in, we have to create a way by which people who are not as fortunate as we were also get benefits of education, live healthy lives, come out of poverty. Because I think there are very many entrepreneurs, very many capable people in the millions and millions of people who sometimes don't realize their own worth because they don't get an opportunity.
Rajeev as a person is terribly committed, he's passionate, he's driven, he sets a benchmark for himself. And you know, that benchmark, before he sets it for anybody else, he sets it for himself.
I think the key reason why I've been working with him for so long across different geographies, different companies, is really because he's an invigorating boss who's not just a boss, but much more than that. He's a boss, he's a mentor, he's a friend, he's just a bundle of energy.
We have our good times, we have our fights, we have our arguments, and we have fun times with each other.
We always go on walks and we talk about everything. He's really approachable. He's one person that I would go to if I had any problem with anything. He's honest, he's a true leader.
Rajeev and I have been married for 21 years. It's been a fun experience being with him through all the highs and lows. He's great at work, he's very passionate about whatever he does. But when he's at home, we're just like any other normal family. We have our good times, we have our fights, we have our arguments, and we have fun times with each other, with the children. So, well, all in all, it's just been a great experience.
Nidhi and I met in interesting circumstances. It was during the time I was in Calcutta, and one of the times when I came back to Delhi for a brief holiday. And that's when friends of our families introduced us. And it was a quiet evening. We met, and we barely spoke to each other, but we kind of noticed each other. And then from there, one thing led to another. We got to know each other. And we decided that we'd like to get married.
What about your children? Tell me a little bit about your daughters.
We have two lovely daughters. I guess my personal passion. Both of them are absolutely delightful. My elder daughter has just gone to college, so we miss her. The house isn't the same without her. And she's gone to college in the US. And my younger daughter she's just completing her grade 9, so she's going to leave us in 3 years. The best part is that the two of us at least have her right now. And
you're very close to them, obviously.
Oh, yes.
These girls.
Yes, I guess daddy's girls, but I'd like to believe that.
Yeah.
But they know exactly how to get the best of both sides. You know, they know when to go to mama and they know when to go to daddy. But yes, I think we're blessed with two delightful children.
Well, me and my dad, we kind of do a lot of crazy things. Like we always go out on the weekends. One thing that I really love is our evening walks on the weekends. We always go on walks and we talk about everything. Like he's really approachable. He's one person that I would go to if I had any problem with anything. He's honest. He's a true leader. And that's why I really look up to him. He's my idol. And he tells me about past stories in his life. We laugh, we talk, and along with that, I also learn a lot from him. Even without him knowing it, like through his actions, he teaches us a lot.
In your definition, what does success really mean to you?
It really implies the kind of impact, the kind of influence I can create, the kind of results I could generate out of the people I work with. But more importantly, if I were to just place it very simply, it's all about empowering people, enabling success, and enriching lives.
With such a busy schedule of traveling, how do you really unwind and just let your hair down? What do you do?
I like to travel, but I don't mean work travel. I like to travel otherwise on a holiday and do things. Read. I am a voracious reader, and I love to be at parties. If I have to classify it, it's a lot about physical activity. It's a lot about friends. Family time means a lot, but it's about deep, solid relationships. People you can trust, confidence, give trust, get trust, and I really go a lot with that. So it's a combination of things.
What we're doing, Rajeev, is something called a rapid fire round. I'll just give you a question A or B, and you just have to answer that. Ready for the fun?
Well, I guess I have no choice.
All right. Aishwarya or Katrina?
Katrina.
Indian or Chinese?
Indian, most certainly.
Shah Rukh or Amir?
Amir.
Sea or mountain?
Sea.
Thriller or comedy?
Comedy.
Dubai or Mumbai?
Dubai. Politically correct.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
Muni or Sheila?
Sheila.
Wow, that was fun. You were very spontaneous. Thank you very much. Rajeev, it was great to spend the whole day with you, and I wanted to have you at our show. Thank you very much. I wish you all luck and success, and look forward to seeing you very soon again.
Thank you, Anish. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks.
So now we know that money men are humble, honest, visionaries, brave, opportunists, but most importantly, human. Success is measured by the impact that you make and the people that you empower. That's what I learned by spending the whole day with Rajeev. I'm sure you get inspired every week by a new Top Gun. I look forward to seeing you next week with another successful personality. I'm your host, Anish Shaktiani. Until next time, bye-bye.
Service really meant a lot for us because, I did say that we wanted to be successful because we wanted to create a difference. This was a very established market, 52 banks, 5 million people, so it sounded very overbanked. The only way we could go ahead and create a difference was in our belief that while the market was overbanked, the people were underserved. So for us, it was about serving the underserved, not serving the underbanked.